Hello, this is Dr. J back with some more Let's Play Blaster Master 03 as we continue through the true ending. About to do the Leibniz boss battle. I actually was not commentating while I was fighting Leibniz because I didn't know how many tries it was going to take. I didn't want to just commentate over and over and over again. And so also I needed to concentrate hard because this turns out to be the most difficult boss battle in the whole trilogy, in my opinion. So, what you are hearing right now is post-commentary. That said, I'm not going to do a whole lot of it. I'm mostly going to just let my couple of battles that you're about to see speak for themselves, and then my actual live commentary that I did during the fight will resume as soon as we defeat Leibniz on our second attempt here. But yeah, this was a tough boss fight. It took me quite a few tries. I wasn't keeping count, but somewhere between 5 to 10 before I finally mastered it well enough to be able to get through the whole fight and defeat Leibniz. Anyway, post-commentary is shutting up now, so enjoy the duel. Did it.
Jason.
That is probably the toughest boss battle in the entire trilogy so far. It took me a lot of tries. I don't know exactly how many. At least half a dozen to get those patterns down well enough to be able to win that boss fight. Oh, okay. I guess it was unnecessary for me to go back to save. Whew. Yeah, that was a tough one. Ugh, I feel hyped up. Like, I had to concentrate really hard to be able to do that. Ugh. Reverse gravity, come on. This is silly. There we go. Oh, this... How the heck am I supposed to do this? Do I just tank the damage? There's no way I'm gonna fly through that so precisely that I don't take damage. Oh. Well, that was a nice little troll game. Okay. Oh, I can't see and I don't have a spark ignition. I guess I'm supposed to watch these guys to see which way to go? Yeah, I guess... Oh wait, does the Thunder Break reveal? The Thunder Break reveals, briefly. Oh, don't mind if I grab that energy. Excuse me. I should probably get that health. Ugh, sorry, my throat's all scratchy. Coughing quite a bit for some reason. Just a moment, I'll mute myself. Boy, this place just keeps getting weirder. Yeah, we're just kind of going through a series of tunnels here. But, okay, yeah, nothing to that, really. Okay, we're approaching something. Kinda wish that I had some life energy guards. What if the boss fight's even more difficult and I don't have that buffer? Eve? Are you the next boss, Eve? Why are you fighting me? Oh. We're not playing. That's not Eve. That's Jason. That's Super Saiyan Jason. We're not playing as Jason. We're Kane, aren't we? We're playing as Kane. That's why we're using this really basic Sophia, this really basic metal attacker, and that's why it was distorting his voice so much, so that we couldn't tell who we were playing as. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be Kane and defeat Jason and Eve. Oh my god. Okay, and it just revealed that. And the game went out of its way to make us not suspicious of the fact that the voice distortion was messed up by having Jason's voice distortion get messed up earlier in the game. Or, I mean, his comm. Oh my god, what a twist. What a twist.
Jason Fradonic.
そのヘルメット、俺が置いていったものを復元したのか。だから超次元空間に来れたんだな。つまりは俺のせいってわけか。
あの日、お前がイブを引き止めようとした時に、うすうすそうなんじゃないかと思っていたが、 その姿、やっぱりお前はも
So is
うだから
Jason
乱用はするなと言ったんだ。
is Jason the mutant king now?
VRV システムは原因じゃない。イブが作ったシステムに不備はなかった。問題は俺が超次元空間で生命を維持するために使ったアクセルチェンジャーの方だ。超次元空間に順応して結局俺もイブと同じように通常空間では生きられない体になってしまった。だけどイブのそばにいるためには、イブの手をつかむには人間であることを手放す覚悟が必要だったんだ。覚悟は決めたんだ。俺は彼女たちを守る。
Yeah, them. And he did say Kanojo Tachi, Tachi being plural in Japanese. Who's them? Not just Eve?
彼女たち
Oh, okay.
どういうことだ。
Kane also
イブは
caught
ど
that
こにいる。
and is confused by it.
この眉は何だ。それはミュータントコクーンじゃないのか。お前たちは一体何をしようとしているんだ。
これは超次元生命体として生身の体を失ったイブが最後まで残そうとした器。
Well, that's kind of sad.
俺とイブにとって
That's Eve now?
希望のゆりかご。
Well, dang, Eve, you suffered quite the fate to become that.
あともう少しなんだ。何としても破壊されるわけにはいかない。
イブが超次元生命体としてミュータントの女王として超次元空間で生きていくと決意したことも、お前が人であることを捨ててまでイブと共に生きていくと決意したことも、全てはお前たちが選んだ人生だ。俺がとやかく言うことじゃないと思っていた。だが再び超次元の歪みは開いてしまった。お前たちは再び通常空間に干渉してしまった。
That would seem to be a breach of the terms of the truce.
イブが制御しているミュータントたちは歪みから外へ出ることはないし、
I can understand why Kane can't take that chance. It's understandable.
歪みは VRV システムがなければ双方の空間に干渉することはできない。
That doesn't even make sense, Jason. The mutants crossed over without this VRV system all the time.
ただそこに存在するというだけだ。通常空間への影響はないんだ。
お前も知っているだろう。通常空間に二度と干渉しないからこそイブの存在は今まで許容されていたんだ。その前提が覆されてしまった以上、惑星ソフィアはお前たちを見逃すことはない。惑星ソフィアは今宇宙の平和を維持するため大規模な生還連合を築こうとしている。お前の故郷であるこの地球にも連合への加盟を打診している。惑星ソフィアにとっては今お前たちの罪が明るみに出ては困るんだそうだ。
確かに俺たちがしたことは罪なのかもしれない。それでも望んでしまったんだ。俺たちは望んでしまったんだ。
俺は惑星ソフィアの戦士としてじゃなくケインガードナー個人としては何かとんでもないことをしでかそうとしているお前たち二人を叱りに来たんだ。父親としてな。だがそれでお前たちを止められないのなら惑星ソフィアの戦士としてイブとお前を抹殺しろと命令を受けている。
Man, I don't want to kill Jason.
悪いがここまで来て諦めるわけにはいかない。
ジェイソン、俺の立場ではイブと共謀するお前も今度こそ惑星ソフィアの敵だと判断するしかない。お前たちは何としても俺が止める。
And it's gonna give us
覚悟を貫き通したいのならば
it's gonna give us enemy code Blaster Master when we fight him. What a title drop.
この俺とメタルアタッカーを超えてみせろ。ブラスターマスター。
Okay, that just makes it corny, guys. It was really cool and you made it corny. Oh, wait! We get to choose! We get to choose who we want to be. That's what it was doing, it was letting us choose. I didn't realize that. It wasn't just doing that to be corny. I don't want to defeat either of them! Why do I have to defeat one of them? Okay, what abilities do I have? Oh, I can,
ケインガードだ。正直俺はこの人に勝てる気がしない。
Yeah, I didn't realize it was letting me choose who I wanted to be there. I thought it was just some corny Jason versus Kane kind of thing.
そうだな、ブレッド。この戦い、ケインに勝つのが目的じゃない。
Oh man, but I mean, Kane has a point too. I don't want to kill either of them. Well, whatever. We're fighting as Jason, which is the choice I would have made anyway if I realized I was making a
俺が
choice.
戦う理由はたった一つだけだ。この希望のゆりかごを守り抜く。絶対に。失った G ソフィア SV の代わりに急増したプロトタイプだけど。
How did you guys even build a metal attacker in super dimensional space?
ソフィア J1。
That is a mystery to me. But what have we got? Okay, we've got... It looks very similar to what we've been piloting the whole game, actually. Homing laser sounds good. Actually, I have the homing laser on ZL, so that's fine. Alright, let's make the warhead missiles our regular sub-weapon then. Anti-SF ammo seems like a given. Alright, let's do it. Well, it's rematch time! I was kind of expecting we'd get a rematch against Kane. We certainly have the better metal attacker. Oh god, I'm getting wrecked. Again! Oh, this is gonna take me a large number of tries again, isn't it? Just like defeating Leibniz took me a large number of tries. Oh, Eve! Okay, Eve is protecting us. Thank you, Eve. I feel like this is cheating, but I'll take it. Wow, am I just invulnerable? Is this basically a fight that you can't lose if you're playing as Jason? Okay, Eve's protection is gone. We got him.
Kane!
どうしたジェイソン。まだ俺のメタルアタッカーは止まっちゃいないぞ。
It didn't look that way to me.
まだだ。この希望のゆりかごは彼女たちは絶対に俺が守りきる。
Eve totally won that fight for me by making me invulnerable for so long. Thank you, Eve.
なんだ。まさか間に合わなかったのか。
そうじゃない。間に合ったんだ。イブ。
ジェイソン、守ってくれてありがとう。時間かかっちゃってごめんね。
いいんだ、イブ。君たちを守るのが今の俺の生きる意味だから。さあ、迎えに行ってあげてくれ。
Is this gonna be Roddy and Elfie after all?
おいで、エルフィ、
Yup.
ロディ。
Well, I mean, you two kinda really had been wanting to be a couple for like 3 whole games. Seems like you finally got to do that together in super dimensional space.
子供双子お前たちこれはどういうことだ
I think it's pretty obvious, Kane.
この子たちは俺とイブの人間の子供だ。
How are they human children if you two have become mutants, though? Or super dimensional beings?
お前とイブのなんだって
純粋な人間の俺とイブの子供たちだ。
How are they purely human,
こ
though?
の眉は私がこの子たちをただの人間として産んであげるための器。
I guess now that I think about it, who knows what you two have been doing in space? This is not normally how human children are made, so who even knows what's going on?
イブと俺が最後まで残そうとしたイブの生身の体だったんだ。
あの巨大な眉がこの子たちを産むためだけのものだったっていうのか。
超次元生命体ミュータントの女王イブの中に宿った因子を取り除いて。
Are they not purely human, then? I mean, if they can do that, they don't sound purely human. I'm so confused.
子供たちを人間として無事に誕生させるためには
I see.
これだけの規模と時間が必要だったんだ。
Okay, he's saying that would have happened, and they prevented it from happening with that cocoon somehow.
だからその時間を稼ぐためにケインあんたを足止めする必要があったんだ。
I guess now we know who it was who called all those other metal attacker pilots. Gonbei, Kana, Stein, and Leibniz.
ゴンベ
Okay.
ジョンキそしてライプニッツ。
You guys need to stop saying exactly what I just said. It's starting to weird me out.
おたえさん、ケンウッドさん、ティセット。
そうか。だから彼らは役割がどうとかって。だがなぜそこまでして。
イブの進化はもう肉体を超えて思念体として超次元空間そのものと同化しかけている。
That sounds like a depressing fate.
私たちはもう通常空間には戻れない。
Or maybe not.
み
Maybe
んな
she's
と一緒には生きられない。
maybe she's basically ascending to a higher level of consciousness. Maybe that's not such a bad thing.
だけど私やジェイソンが確かに生きていた証をどうしても残したかった。
だから望んでしまったと。
それが罪だというのなら否定はできない。俺たちはその罪を背負って生きる。
この子たちをどう育てていくつもりなんだ。ただの人間ならここでは生きられないだろう。
そうだ。この子たちは人間だ。超次元空間で長期間は生きられない。
私たちはこの子たちとそう長くは一緒にいてあげられない。肉体を失った今の私には生まれてきたこの子たちを直接抱きしめてあげることもできない。
だから地球に次元の歪みを開いたんだ。この子たちを地球に送るために。
Okay, that explains why we were on Earth, too. Kane went to Earth to investigate the... Wow. So many things that were confusing about this final level make a whole lot more sense after that reveal. Well played, Inti Creates. Well played with that twist. That was well executed.
俺の故郷、俺がイブと出会った地球でこの子たちに人間として生きてほしかったから。
I'm glad I didn't spoil myself on this. It's a good twist.
結果的には俺たちのわがままで通常空間に干渉したってことになる。ただ子供たちを地球に送った後はもう俺たちが通常空間へ干渉することはない。
待て。こんな生まれたばかりの赤ん坊を無責任に地球に放り出すつもりなのか。
I mean, he's probably going to ask you and Jennifer to raise them, Kane. Come on, think it through.
俺たちでは生まれてきた子供たちを育てられない。だから最初は諦めようとしたんだ。だけどライプニッツが背中を押してくれたんだ。
Leibniz of all people, huh?
人間までやめといてさ、今さら家族を作るのに次元がどうとか気にするバカがいるかよ。好きにすりゃいいじゃん別に。育てられないってんなら僕が面倒見てやるよ。
Oh, you're gonna give them to Leibniz to raise? I don't know about that decision. Leibniz is not very stable. I mean, of all the people.
だから俺たちは託すことにしたんだ。大切な子供たちをライプニッツに。
Better than Kana, I guess. I'm trying to think. Ranking the different major characters from least to most responsible as like potential parents. Probably Kana in last. Then Leibniz. Remember, we're going from least to most. Then Stein. Then Gonbei. Gonbei is starting to reach the point where he might be able to be a functional parent. And then Kane, I would say.
それでケインの足止めのために MA パイロットたちをもう一度呼び寄せてくれたり。
あいつ自身もライジングガルーダで最後の砦として俺の前に立ちはだかったってわけか。そうか、それがライプニッツの覚悟。道理で手強かったわけだ。
宇宙にはまだイブの意志の影響を受けず今もなお暴れ続ける危険なミュータントたちがいるんだ。
Which contradicts what you said earlier, Jason, that she can control all of them.
異文明生命体ライトニングビーイング。
The heck?
俺たちはそいつらを止めに行かなきゃいけない。
Interesting.
子供たちを見守ることはできないけどこの子たちが生きていくこの世界は
私たちが守ってみせる。
子供たちの存在こそがお前たちの覚悟の証か。親として一つ言わせてもらうが、きっとこの子たちは寂しがるぞ。
Without their true parents? Probably.
それは俺が一番よく知ってる。でもエヴァが教えてくれたんだ。
Ah, no matter how far apart you are, you're always together.
エヴァが
離れ離れでも家族の心はつながってる。だから寂しくないって。
Who knew that would be such a significant line?
ケインと親と一緒にいられなくても大丈夫だってそう俺に教えてくれたんだ。
でももしいつかこの子たちの身に危険が迫った時は必ず助けに戻ってくる。お願い、それだけは許してほしいの。お父さん。
インベムクイーンとブラスターマスターによる地球の通常空間への干渉は新たな脅威へ対抗するために旅立つ準備のためであり、侵略行為とは全く異なる目的だった。ここで彼女らを抹殺することは新たな脅威への強力な対抗手段を失うことを意味し、
Good decision, Kane.
惑星ソフィアが目指してきた宇宙平和への歩みを大きく逆転させかねないと判断した。
Kane always proves to be a good guy in the end.
今までもこれからもお前たちに侵略の意志はない。そういうことにしてやる。
ケイン。
まったく惑星政府やソフィアフォースのお偉方を丸め込むのにどれだけ苦労するか。いいかジェイソン、お前たちがしたことを俺は罪だとは思わない。だからといって決して褒められたことでもない。 お前が背負うべきは罪じゃない。責任なんだ。
I mean, you just got some grandkids, Kane. If I were you, I'd be stepping in and saying, wait a second, let me raise them, not that psycho Leibniz.
たとえ離れ離れでもつながっていたとして、人に託して終わりじゃない。俺だってジェニファーやエヴァとの家族のつながりを守るために一緒にいられるようにいつも戦ってる。家族が同じ場所で生きるいつかを絶対に諦めるな。その責任をしっかり背負って生きろ。いいな。
はい。
イブ、俺とジェニファーが惑星ソフィアからお前をソフィア3と共に送り出した時は、まさかお前がこんな過酷な運命にさらされることになるなんて思ってもいなかった。
That was kind of irresponsible of you when you put it that way.
すまなかった。
Though it's not like you could have known all this crazy stuff would happen.
この境遇がたとえお前が望んだものじゃなかったとしても、お前が自分の意志で望んだものがお前自身の幸せだったことを俺は嬉しく思うよ。
お父さん、ありがとう。
結局最後はお前たちの覚悟の逆転勝ちだな。
俺はあなたたちのおかげで大切な人を守る力とかけがえのない家族を得ることができた。あなたに会えてよかった。ありがとう、ケイン・ガードナー。
さあ、お前たちには託すべき未来と守るべき世界があるんだろう。行ってこい、ブラスターマスター。
Wow, that is an ending to process. Did not see that coming. That really surprised me. So overall, I'd have to say that I mean, it's review time now that the credits are rolling. Sorry, I'm still reeling a little bit. That ending really got me. But credits are rolling, so we have to do a review. The third game is a solid entry in the trilogy. It's on par with the first two. It holds up. Strictly in terms of gameplay, it has ups and downs. There are areas where it made improvements, like adding a teleportation network was huge. I would have loved to have that in the first game. Would have mattered a bit less in the second, kind of, the way the second was set up. But even the second, you know, could have benefited from one. They made some improvements to the map UI so that it's a little easier to read. I'm mostly thinking of showing the connections between the tunnels and the dungeons was really nice. There were other aspects where I thought the gameplay took a bit of a step backwards. I already discussed how I preferred the way the energy guard worked in the first two games, where it's a permanent upgrade that gives you 1 point of protection and it recharges after a certain amount of time. I liked that better than them being a disposable, consumable item that sometimes you almost maybe feel like you have to farm for in order to prepare for a nasty boss fight, because I really dislike farming. And like I said, they clutter up the map, making it less clear where actual permanent upgrades versus just the temporary life energy guards. So I don't like how they clutter up the map. Though thankfully, you do have that info screen you can pull up to see what the actual permanent upgrades are, and which ones you've acquired versus which ones you haven't. So that helps. And, you know, at core, it's the same fun Blaster Master gameplay with the side-scrolling platforming part, the Metroidvania aspects, and then the overhead run and gun part. And it... Oh, is that Kane there, scrolling by on the screen? We never got to see Kane with his helmet off in overhead view. But yeah, it's the same fun core gameplay as the first two games. And then the, as I mentioned, I like how the superdimensional space parts are semi-randomly generated. I actually think that works really well. And as I said, I would play an entire game that was sort of based on a randomly generated, almost roguelike type setup with this engine, as long as it was done well. Like, that would be really cool. Story-wise, wow, they pull a hell of a twist there at the end, and they execute it well, and do a really good job with it, and it has some emotional impact, and really caught me off guard, so really credit to Inti Creates for pulling that off. That doesn't mean that I have nothing but praise for the story, though. There are some pretty major plot holes in this game, in this trilogy, as you think about it. Oh, there's Lucia. Like I said, we see why Leibniz got so messed up if poor Lucia there got killed by mutants. That would be rough to have to deal with. I mean, not to mention your entire civilization getting destroyed. But yeah, the story, it has its holes. Like, for example, at the true end of the very first Blaster Master, Kane and Jennifer Gardner send the Sophia Zero to help Jason rescue Eve, just teleporting it through a wormhole directly from the planet Sophia to Earth. And yet, the whole premise of the second game is that we have to go through... Or are we going to get a post-credits cutscene, so I have to cut my review short? We might. Oh, there they are. I mean, I was saying literally the whole trilogy that those two needed to get together and that I shipped them. It finally happened, although in a pretty bittersweet way. If I hit a button, does it fade out? I'm hitting some buttons, but nothing's happening. Okay, maybe we just see this screen until we exit out of the game. I'll continue my review then. Story, I was talking about that. Kane and Jennifer Gardner send the Sophia Zero straight from Sophia to Earth at the end of the first game, but then the whole premise of the second game, literally the entire game, is that you have to go through a long series of wormholes, going to all the trouble of getting the access keys for them, however that works. Don't worry about it, it's a video game. And then it's actually a really big to-do to get from Earth to Sophia, which seems to me like a plot hole. That seems to contradict the idea that you can just easily go from one planet to another through a single wormhole. So that's a bit of a contradiction. I already mentioned this briefly at one point, but it makes zero sense how the planet Sophia's apparent modus operandi for helping other planets against the mutants is that they send a single metal attacker and a support droid with no pilot to the destination solar system. And the support droid is supposed to find a suitable pilot there to help defend against the mutant invasion. I can't even begin to describe how little sense that makes. We have seen that they have the ability to mass produce the metal attackers, so why would you not just send an entire fleet of them already with trained pilots instead? Like, that would make a lot more sense, but whatever, set that aside. We do get to have some very fun and very unproblemed pilot support droid teams. Oh, if I hit right, then...
ロディとエルフィー、地球で元気に育ってくれるといいな。
あの子たちの成長はライプニッツがちゃんと見守ってくれる。大丈夫だ。
帰ってこなかったら、そのうち俺のこと死んだことにするって言ってたんだよな、あいつ。子供たちのことはもちろん感謝してるけど。
I really feel like you guys made the second worst possible choice out of all your acquaintances to raise your children.
は、それ私も言われた。お揃いだね。
I still don't understand why Kane didn't volunteer to raise them. Oh well.
子供の教育に良くないと思うんだよな。
Ribbit, ribbit.
フレッドの言う通りだよ。いいじゃない。私たちは生きてるんだから。いつか必ず地球に帰ろうよ。
そうだね。必ずまた地球に戻って家族で暮らそう。俺はあの子たちに伝えたいことがあるんだ。だから。
So I guess I'll just interrupt this legitimately heartwarming moment. I'm not even saying that ironically or sarcastically. This is very sweet. But I'll interrupt it real quick to say something before I forget. We saw Roddy and Elfie in the area Omega at the end of the second game. I speculated whether they could be even Jason's children from the future, just because canonically in Blaster Master Blasting Again, Roddy and Elfie were Jason and Eve's children. And then the trilogy seemingly forgot about Roddy and Elfie, and I thought, okay, maybe they're rewriting the canon, and those two were just making a fun cameo for those in the know. But no, it turns out they really are Jason and Eve's children, which leaves a giant question of why did we encounter them in Area Omega? Did they really come from the future, end up there, and then die horrible deaths? Because it kind of seemed like Roddy and Elfie had died horrible deaths there. In which case we know how this ends and it's really sad and tragic. But is the game going to address that at all? Well, let's just keep hitting the A button and find out.
行こう。ソフィア J1。
I'm glad I just absentmindedly hit the right button, or I could have completely missed that. Thank you for playing. Again, thank you for creating this trilogy, Inti Creates. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, now let's finish the review. Let's go into the game start menu just so it doesn't end up going to the introduction while I'm in the middle of finishing my review. Also, the music here is really loud, so I'm going to turn it down a bit. Okay. Right, so as of right now, it sure hasn't addressed that. It sure hasn't addressed why we ran into Roddy and Elfie in Area Omega. That's a mystery that's still up in the air. The other thing I'll say about the story is I can't really criticize how they handled it because I think that they, like I said, I legitimately was very caught off guard by that twist ending. I thought they executed it really well. And it actually turned out to be a pretty sweet and heartwarming, emotional ending that they pulled off. So well done to them. And they basically decided to really hone in on the whole Jason and Eve finally getting together. Finally being able to be a couple, as we all saw that they desperately needed to be the entire time. And have their children, and then, you know, kind of sweet ending, but also bittersweet for all the reasons that I don't really need to go into, because we just saw it. So I'm not going to criticize the way they did that or the direction that they took the plot. That said, I probably would have done very different things with the plot. In a way, it's strange that they decided to go with the whole angle of having Eve basically turn into a complete mutant form, and then turn into the Mutant Queen, and basically ascend into being a higher life form, and then Jason having to follow her in and essentially also turn into a superdimensional higher life form. Like, in a way, that's all odd, and I'm not entirely sure why they decided to go that angle with it. And if you really like Eve as a character and like having her around as your operator and being able to chat with her, then it is kind of a bummer that she is essentially almost entirely absent from the third game up until the ending. And she's replaced by Leibniz, who is just kind of an annoying jerk, basically. So it's kind of a bummer from that perspective. Like I said, if you like Eve as a character, and I like Eve as a character, I mean, you could say in some ways she's sort of a generic sweet waifu, but what's wrong with generic sweet waifus? Nothing. I like them. So there's that aspect to it. But like I said, I'm not going to criticize it because they did really well with the direction they decided to go in with it. They did well with the angle they decided to take, even if I think that was a strange angle to take, and that it is kind of a bummer how Eve basically just is not in the third game up until the ending. One other thing I want to mention. The mystery of the mutants themselves is basically left unaddressed. I kind of expected it probably would be. I always really like sort of mysterious lore and backstory in a game. And to me, the sweet spot is when you don't fully explain everything, because then you kind of get rid of the mystery. But that you at least kind of explain a little bit of it, enough that the player can, or the reader, the viewer, whatever kind of media it is, can put some pieces together and kind of come to their own conclusions that make sense based on the clues that you've left. And the mutants are a pretty weird thing. Like, they come from this completely separate, strange dimension, seemingly as invaders who are just assimilating and destroying everything. In the second game, they implied that the mutants were, like Eve, basically theorized that the mutants were trying to suck all the energy out of what I'll call physical space and pull it into their own dimension. And that raises a very obvious question. Why? Why do they need all that energy? What are they doing with it? I feel like you could have turned that into a pretty interesting plot point. And maybe had a really interesting plot twist based on that. Like some kind of big reveal of some surprising, interesting reason why they were trying to suck all that energy out and why they needed it. And maybe kind of have this angle where, from a different point of view, the mutants aren't just purely evil, mindless, invading aliens trying to destroy everything. Like, maybe there's an interesting explanation for their actions. As far as I can tell, we just completely dropped that plot point and abandoned trying to explain what the mutants are at all. Like, the mutants still don't make a lot of sense. They're just this weird race of extra-dimensional aliens that open rifts into the physical world and destroy everything and are big jerks. Why? Who knows? I'm throwing my hands up in the air. Who knows? Nobody knows. Why did Eve start turning into one of them? Nobody knows. Like, that's just this huge mystery that the game decided not to address at all. I feel like this is a common complaint I'm making about the video games I'm playing these days, but let's raise this interesting mystery and then abandon it and not address it at all. So that feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Although maybe there's, I don't know, some lore somewhere that kind of explains it a bit. I don't know. We alluded to these weird lightning beings, which are strange mutants that don't obey Eve. Maybe that's something. I don't know. And like I said, what's up with having seen Roddy and Elfie at the end of the second game? I don't know that either. The game seems to not be addressing that. So, unexplained mysteries. But nonetheless, I know I'm really rambling on, but honestly, if you weren't interested in my opinions, you'd have stopped watching the video a long time ago anyway. And the game's interesting, so I'm having fun talking about it. But yes, all that aside, my nitpicking about the story elements and the plot holes and all that aside, Inti Creates did a great job with this trilogy. It's really interesting how they merged all the different canons together into a single cohesive story. It was a lot of fun to play. The gameplay was fantastic, and although I had nitpicks about stuff here and there, overall this trilogy was great. I had tons of fun playing it. After the massive twist at the end of the third game, I think I'm going to remember this for a long time. That was memorable. So, 4 stars out of 4 stars. Fantastic. Thumbs up. Well done, Inti Creates. I'm now going to check online to see if you get a really different ending if you choose to play as Kane in that final battle instead of Jason, if things turn out really differently. And if so, I'm going to then record playing as Kane against Jason so we can see that alternate ending. And if there's any other really interesting lore that it turns out I missed, I'll bring that up too. All right, I checked, and according to the internet, the ending that you get if you play as Kane against Jason is exactly the same. No differences at all. And I couldn't find that I had missed any important cutscenes or any interesting lore or anything like that. So that's the end of this episode, and mostly the end of the playthrough. The only thing that is left to do is to check out some of the extra things, the DLC characters and extra modes in the first two games. So that's what's going to be coming up next as a final bonus video for this playthrough. So I'll see you for that.